Hi everyone, I'm back. Thought I would do a video. I wanted to do one yesterday, but I was so tired. It's been a busy week. My brother and his family got here on Saturday night. That was the night that we opened up the observatory and that we shot the Pinwheel Galaxy, which I was so excited to get to do. It'd been so long. It kind of put the fire in me and like lit the spark or whatever again. I'm ready. I'm so excited, to keep I'm just ready. I'm ready to get back into it. So it was a good way to start, kind of putting myself back into that way of thinking and kind of like looking at the forecast and getting ready for it. And yeah, we're going to start heading back towards a full moon. We got 10 inches of snow. It started snowing on late Wednesday night. It might have been early Thursday morning. And there might have been about a foot this morning, but it's heavy and wet, and so it's like compacting down, and the sun finally came out. I can see some blue sky. It's starting to get better, but it was such a busy week. And so I decided to make a pot of coffee. Decaf only. By the way, I only ever drink decaf coffee. I've learned my lesson with caffeine. I stay away from it as much as I can. But I decided to put it in my favorite mug, which is my Astrophotography A Shot in the Dark mug. So, anyways. But yeah, I wanted to do a video yesterday, and I was just wiped. I was totally exhausted, and the weather was terrible. So it was a good day to take kind of a personal snow day, if you will. But this week kind of showed me something that happened. It happened to me, and I told you daylight savings is tough. Like whenever it comes back around, it's hard. And then to have the extra family and the busyness and kind of the schedule get kind of changed. My routine was off pretty much since they got here, because they got here on Saturday. We shot Saturday night. Sunday morning was the time change, and then every day since then, I just feel like I cannot catch up. Like that hour is gone, and there's no catching up to it. And it's been, and I am very strict about my routine. Like it is very important for me to have my day be a certain way, especially my night be a certain way. Because if I get off on my night, then things start to kind of, the balance starts to lose its stability, a little bit more. So Wednesday night I was doing that Zoom meeting with that photography club, which I was so excited. I was absolutely excited to do it. I wanted to participate in it, and it was great, but it got long, and so I needed to kind of bail out at the very end and rush over if I wanted to see my brother and his family and hug on them before they went to bed, because they were going to get up early on Thursday and drive because of the weather coming. And so I jetted over there. I hadn't eaten dinner my whole day. It was just like I said, it was like there was this whole hour that was just gone. And this was Wednesday. This is well after the time change, but it takes me, I think the longest it took me one year was about 6 or 7 weeks to really adapt to it. It is very, very hard on me. And I don't get into discussions like, having to change time and blah, 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 but I think it's stupid. And if we got rid of it altogether and stayed in standard time, I'd be fine with that forever. I don't care. The changing time thing messes with me in ways that really are really, really hard. And so after I went over to my brother, and the whole week, like I said, it was crazy. My cat got sick. One of the kids got sick. All of this stuff is happening. It's just, that's how life is. It's hard. It's busy. So I go over there and I say goodbye, and I get in the car, and my eyes, because I finally sat down, even if it was in the car, and I didn't have anywhere that I was other than coming home, I didn't have an agenda, and the tears started to kind of well up. And I called my mom, because they were right there. My brother stayed at an Airbnb right by my parents' house. So I called my mom, and I said, can I please just come over and sit and have a bite to eat and not do anything, because I don't think I should drive like this. And she said, yes, come on over. So I went straight over there. I sat with my mom and dad. I had a snack. I got some food in me. I just sat for a little bit and rested. And man, did I need it. But then it all kind of caught up with me still, even after the fact. So yesterday I was just exhausted. I just couldn't get going. So finally I got myself together, which is a priority for me. Like doing my hair and makeup every day, that's become like a priority to me. I like to start my day taking care of myself and making an effort on myself. And then I like to end the day the same way when it comes to taking off my makeup or taking a shower or brushing my teeth. So I bookend my day with caring for me. And then when that routine gets kind of messed up, then I hit the fan. And so I was so tired yesterday because it did get kind of messed up. And so yesterday I think I sat in my chair and watched TV and cross-stitched for like 3 hours. I just had a snow day. And I did it with no guilt. I did it with absolutely no guilt. I did not feel like I needed to be doing more yesterday. I was fine, perfectly content, sitting and doing nothing for hours on end. But it started making me think about the mindfulness thing. We talked about it in a previous video. I mentioned it very, very briefly, but I thought I would do this video. And I'm still learning how to do my screen stuff, so bear with me. But I thought we would do it in this video and just go through. I found a really cool article here. Let me see if I can close this window, my mouse. There we go. So I found, well, first of all, I did a search for just what is mindfulness, just to see what the definition online would be, because I'm sure I could come up with one, but it's going to be more concise. So the definition from mindful.org is mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing. And the other night in the car, I'm going to tell you right now, I was very mindful that I was kind of borderline not okay. I wasn't manic, I wasn't hypomanic, but I had done too much. And I told you in another video that when I go and do and go and do and go and do, even if the time hadn't changed, I would have been kind of like, but the time changed. So that was just an added stressor. And I was just like, my head was just I was losing a little bit of control. And I don't like to lose control because I'm very good at controlling it these days. So when I felt like that was starting to happen, I was like, I can't let this go farther, because if I do, I'm going to do that revving up energy thing, and I can't afford to do that anymore. I cannot afford to go there anymore. So I pulled up this article, and I didn't read the whole thing, but I wanted to see what the benefits of mindfulness were. So I pulled up this article, and I just thought it was really interesting. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will attach this to the description of the video. I'll read the first part here. Mindfulness involves focusing your awareness on the present moment. It means paying attention to your sensations, feelings, thoughts, and environment in the here and now with an attitude of acceptance. Now, acceptance. I want to do another video. That reminds me. I want to do a video about what the difference is between acceptance and resignation, because I think a lot of people either confuse the two, or they think that they both mean the same thing, and they don't. So that's I have a to-do list in my phone of videos that I want to do, and that one is probably going to be the next one if it's not deep space astrophotography related. But acceptance versus resignation, two very, very different things. And we'll talk about that, as this channel continues. But right now, I just want to focus on this. Some of the potential benefits of mindfulness include lowering stress, decreasing depression, improving memory, and strengthening your relationships, among other things. In a large-scale review of more than 400 previous studies, mindfulness was identified as an effective mental health practice for helping almost all people improve their physical and psychological well-being. This article discusses the many benefits of mindfulness, as well as some things you should consider before you decide if mindfulness-based practices are right for you. They may not be right for you. And I'm not saying that mindfulness is the solution in any given situation, but it is something to consider. And if you at least kind of have it on your radar, then maybe it is something that will help you. So the first thing on their list is decrease depression. Reduced depression is one of the most important benefits of mindfulness. It can help relieve symptoms of depression and may help prevent these symptoms from returning in the future. There is something called mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. Look it up if it calls you, if it compels you, look it up and see. And like I said, I'll attach this article to my description. So all of these links, when you open it, you can just go there. It incorporates cognitive behavioral therapy with mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's a relatively brief therapy taking place over 8 weeks, utilizing group sessions that incorporate mindfulness practices. Meditation, body scan, yoga. There's so many things on here, but let's get into the actual article itself. So this one I actually really, I never thought about this when I think about mindfulness, but this one's very, very true. Practicing mindfulness can increase your emotional regulation. Now, when I was in the car, here, let me pull this up a little bit bigger so we can get back to this. When I was in the car the other day and I was driving from the Airbnb and I was intending on coming home, and then, like I said, the tears started coming out. I was not failing, but my ability to regulate my emotions was not on point. It was shaky. I was borderline teeter-tottering on this. I can't keep my emotions are about to go, and I'm about to go with it. And like I said before, I can't afford to go there anymore. Now, I'm not saying I don't ever cry. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when someone passes away that I know, and I go to their service. Like, there are things that the genuine emotion and tears are appropriate for. But the way that I was feeling the other night when the tears started to come, it's almost like a red flag. It's like a warning sign to me that if you're not careful, you're going to come home and your whole house is going to be on fire with anxiety-induced thoughts. And I have to figure out how to, like I've said before, rein it back in, bring it back in. My medication does help, but there are just some days and circumstances that do get out of our control. And when they do, we have to kind of know what to look for. The red flags, the triggers, and we also have to know kind of, okay, what do I need in this moment to bring me back to a peaceful place or a better place at the very least. So that's where I was with that. Yes. Okay. So it talks about emotional regulation. Another potential benefit of mindfulness is that the practice may help you identify and manage your feelings. Emotional regulation refers to your ability to exert control over your own emotions. That's huge. Being able to exert control over your own emotions. That is a huge benefit of mindfulness. We have a tendency as human beings to let our emotions run the show. But there are practices in mindfulness techniques that can help you exert control over them. And it's very, very freeing. It makes you feel powerful to a certain degree because you're like, yeah, I got that in check. That didn't decide my journey today. There are some that's a huge one. I love that. This means being able to both enhance or rein in emotions depending on the situation and need. I think I did that the other night in the car when I was like, I got to be able to regulate this somehow. I need to go sit and be still. And that's exactly what I did. And thank goodness my parents were right there. I think even if they hadn't have been, I could have made it home and done the same thing, but they were right there. And it was a few less miles to have to drive with this teeter-tottering of my balance kind of going on. This ability can play an important role in mental well-being, and difficulties managing emotions are linked to a number of conditions, including depression or borderline personality disorder. Completely agree. I'm not going to read all of this. Let's see what the last thing says. The emotional regulation benefits of mindfulness can make it easier to cope with your feelings, ultimately improving many areas of your life, including your relationships and well-being. Perfectly said. Mindfulness can help reduce anxiety and stress. I think that kind of goes without saying, but that's just because I do implement mindfulness techniques in my day-to-day life. So I do feel like my anxiety and my stress, while they're still there, I do feel like overall I have a very good handle on them. But like I said, circumstances happen that are out of our control. And when I like I said, I have this strict routine. This is the way I live. And when something comes up that pulls me this way or pulls me this way and my routine is broken, this is when my anxiety and stress start to peak. But if you practice mindfulness techniques, your awareness of it is on point and you're like, this is a problem. I need to think about this for a minute. And how can I bring this back in? These are they're long. I really don't want to read them all. Better memory. That's interesting. I don't know that my memory is kind of weird. Like a lot of times I remember little details and I like with no problem. And then I have a really hard time remembering like big details, which that bothers me because the things that I want to be able to remember in life are the bigger moments, not the little tiny. But whatever. I do think that my memory has improved over the last 9 years. But now looking back to before 9, it's like I have this line in the sand. Like before 9 years ago, my memory of that is I have it, but there are parts that I should have remembered that I don't. And I don't know that I can ever get that retention back. I'll read the first paragraph here, though. Mindfulness may also have potential as a way to boost your memory. If you've ever forgotten an important meeting or misplaced your car keys, then you know that even simple everyday memory problems can be a major hassle. Many of these moments of forgetfulness are caused by something known as proactive interference, where older memories interfere with your ability to access newer ones. I think my husband struggles with that. I'll have to talk to him about that later at the dinner table. Oh, this is interesting. Participants didn't just show improvements in memory performance. However, they also demonstrated changes in their brain. Brain imaging also revealed that participants in the mindfulness training condition experienced volume changes in their hippocampus, an area of the brain associated with memory. I can see that 100%. I can see that being true. Cognitive improvements. Now, in a previous video, I was talking about bipolar disorder and how people with bipolar disorder tend to have, it's not just mania and depression. There can be some really hard, like confusion of like being able to organize your thoughts. There's difficulties with this. And I do think mindfulness has helped me personally with cognitive improvements. Let's see what it says. Mindfulness doesn't just help you focus on your thoughts or remember things more readily. Evidence suggests it can actually play a role in your ability to think flexibly and clearly. Oh, I love that. Flexibly. You know, when I mentioned earlier about acceptance, knowing acceptance and understanding flexibility will get you places with your mental illness journey that you never thought you could go. I'm telling you right now. Absolutely true. I have to do that video on acceptance because having that kind of thinking and implementing mindfulness to help you have that thinking is huge. Let's see. It makes sense that the practice of mindfulness can change your thinking. After all, the practice itself is all about learning to be more aware of your thoughts without imposing judgments on them. Let's see. Oh, this is good. Okay, there are several important cognitive abilities involved in mindfulness, including being able to focus your attention for a period of time, sustained attention, being able to shift your thoughts and attention in spite of the distractions around you, cognitive flexibility. I've gotten better at that, being able to be in the moment and let the chaos go, let it just naturally be chaotic around me, and I'm in control of my little bubble. Suppressing other thoughts that interfere with your focus. Remember one of the videos I had talked about how it was the guilt video when I was talking about where I was like, stupid thinking, go away. I do that a lot. And I believe very much, especially reading this article, that mindfulness can help you know when you're having a stupid thought that is lying to you about how you should feel. And it gives you the ability to be like, no, I'm not listening to this. This is stupid. It's almost like I've heard the term ants, automatic negative thoughts. We have them. They're automatic. But if you can identify them through mindfulness that they are automatic, you have the power over them to say, nope, that's an automatic negative thought. Not having it. I'm not going to deal with it right now because it's a big fat lie, and I'm focusing on this instead. Perfect. Let's see. Okay, stronger relationships. There's also emerging evidence that practicing mindfulness may have a positive impact on your interpersonal relationships. A 2018 study found that people who were more mindful also tended to be more accepting of their partner's flaws and imperfections. This is an interesting one. That's an interesting one. Yes, I think that. So I have 2 marriages before the one I am now. I've been divorced twice. They both happened before I ever even knew I had bipolar disorder. I do believe that my bipolar disorder led me to marry them in the first place. I was in love with the idea of love, but I had no idea what it was. And I learned the hard way. My second ex-husband, it was pretty abusive. I came out of that relationship not knowing which way was up. So that's a whole other day. But my husband now of 14 years, he's very different in such wonderful ways. And I love that not only does he have flaws, but one thing that I really love about him is like he's totally okay with who he is. He's never been uncomfortable in his skin. And I admire that very, very much because I've wanted to crawl out of my skin. I've been so uncomfortable with who I am, and I've been so judgmental of who I am. And he's just so accepting. And I think that because of mindfulness, I'm aware of that, and I've watched that and I've observed that in him. And it's like I've mentioned the word adopt in the past. I wanted to adopt it for myself. So not only do I see him as he truly is, flaws and all, I see more about me and the way I am, and it's just like, well, this is who I am. Why am I going to fight it? I've got flaws. I'm not going to embrace my flaws, but they're just there, and I can be completely accepting and flexible and forgiving about those kinds of things because of the mindfulness that I've put into seeing it that way. People who are more accepting of their partners are also more satisfied with their relationships. Instead of focusing on their partner's flaws and trying to change them, mindfulness makes it easier to accept that their partner is not always perfect. It's so great. And it's so true. It's so true. I love my love in my life. I feel like I'm in a romantic comedy, and I think it's because we're very accepting of each other as human beings. He sees me for who I am. I see him for who he is. We accept ourselves for who we are. And we're just rowing in the same boat along the journey. It's so beautiful. I love it. Better physical health. This one is absolutely true. Research also suggests that mindfulness can help relieve symptoms of a range of different health conditions. Mindfulness practices have been linked to improvements in lower back pain, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, type 2 diabetes, and fibromyalgia. This is awesome. So I have a massage therapist. She's amazing. I met her when I was in physical therapy. I have a neck injury. I have 3 bulged discs in my neck, and I'm trying to avoid surgery. So I do pain management, but I don't take I refuse to take controlled pain medications. I take a nerve medication, but that's it. And I get trigger point injections every week. But I remember when she came over to my house, and actually that was before she would come over to my house and do massages. I think I was still at physical therapy with her. And she told me, because I like to do this with my shoulders, especially when it's cold and we have snow, I'm sitting wherever and I'm doing this. That's in part how I injured my neck to begin with. I was in a manic episode, and it was finals in college, and I was out of my mind, and I just tensed up and I hurt myself. And anyway, one thing that she told me, she's like, roll your shoulders. So I'm looking at myself in my video so I can see if I'm lined up. So if I feel like I'm doing this, she's like, roll your shoulders and then almost reach for the floor with your hands. And so I started thinking about that. I put it into a mindful practice. And I would wait in line. I'd be in line at the pharmacy, or I'd be in line to check out somewhere. And I'd just be standing there, as we do, on my phone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I just started rolling my shoulders down. I even would do it at red lights when I was sitting in my car, because you're doing this, and you're listening to music or whatever. And I was like, okay, roll my shoulders down. And that by itself improved my neck pain in a way that I never saw would. So even those kind of things, because you'll take it and if you're seeing somebody, a physical therapist for something, even if you're not, if you're just trying stuff to help yourself have better posture, mindfulness of better posture will help with these things like lower back pain and blah, blah, blah. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. It's like a mind, body, soul thing, really. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets a little heavy. When to use caution. Any type of self-reflective inner work has the potential to bring difficult feelings or thoughts to light. This can be particularly true if you have a history of trauma or if you've been diagnosed with a condition such as PTSD or complex PTSD. Caution should be used. Researchers have reported instances where participants have experienced distressing adverse effects when practicing mindfulness and meditation that were serious enough. I would highly suggest, if you are a sufferer of PTSD or chronic depression, or you don't have a diagnosis, to talk to somebody about this before you start implementing it, because everybody's different and it can work well for one and be really destructive for another. So I encourage you to really, do some research, do some things first before you learn if this is something that you want to pursue, because it may not be for you. Just because it worked for me doesn't mean that it's the fix for everybody. I'm just sharing how it works for me. I have bipolar type 1 and it worked for me. I also don't have a history of abuse or trauma in my childhood. So I can't tell you how it would be for somebody who might, or who served in a war. We're all different. So I don't want you to be encouraged. I don't want you to think that I'm encouraging everybody to do this. I'm just telling you what's worked really well for me. And if you find yourself in a similar boat as me, that this might be something worth looking into for yourself. Let's see, right at the bottom in this highlighted area. If you are concerned that practicing mindfulness might be difficult or distressing for you, consider working with a trauma-informed therapist. Yes. A mental health professional with experience in this area can help guide you through the process, integrate your experience, and develop skills that will help you cope. Absolutely. If that sounds like you, please reach out that way. Make that your first priority, your step to look for a therapist that can help guide you through it. Apparently I didn't need it, but some people might. And if you do have a history of trauma, then don't take it lightly. You need to do things in the right order of operations, and not just listen to some YouTuber say what worked for them. Just because it worked for me, that's great. It might work for somebody else, that's great, but it might not work for you. So take caution on that. Let's see. That's everything we've already said. Talking to their doctor or therapist, that's what we were just talking about. Mindfulness is not a one-size-fits-all approach to well-being. It can be a powerful wellness tool with a wide range of benefits, but that doesn't mean that it's right for everyone. What I just said. There are many mindfulness guides, apps, and other tools that can help you get started if you're interested in trying it. But you can also talk to a therapist about mindfulness-based treatment options. I think that that's a great way to blend the two. I think that there are some very good points in this article, but I think that last point is probably the most important, because you do not want to go about, if you want to get your life really in a better place, you don't want to go about it in a reckless way. And if you feel like you might be that kind of person or personality for whatever reason that you might not take the appropriate steps, then definitely reach out to your doctor or a therapist to get you started on the mindfulness wellness techniques and journey. I think that that's probably about it for me for this one. I just felt like let's talk about something a little bit different and go through these points, and I can just kind of relay what's happened for me. My hair is so weird right now. I'm trying really hard to grow it, which I haven't done in years, and so it looks kind of funky because I'm trying to do long and short. Anyway, But yeah, I just wanted to take the time to talk about mindfulness. And the next video that I do when we have a discussion about mental illnesses and mental well-being and mental health, there I do want to talk about acceptance versus resignation, because there's a very big difference. And I think that many people do confuse the two, like I said earlier, or they think that the definition is the same when it's not. And I want to have a discussion about that, because I think that's huge. And in some ways, I think that mindfulness comes a little bit before acceptance, even in this order, because like you have to know what it is in order to implement it as you go. So yeah, I think that's going to be a great talk. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them right here. Like it, subscribe, share it with your friends. I always say I don't care, because I don't. I'm not doing this to be famous. I am doing this to help anybody that might need just another voice, out there rooting for them. I'm rooting for you. I want you to have a well life. I want you to know peace. I've worked very, very hard for it, but I also had a rough week, and I wanted to be honest about that too. You don't always see the hard parts. And I was going to do a video tired and all. I wanted to do that yesterday. And then I just thought, I'm just too tired to even be able to think straight. It's not going to benefit anybody if I can't think straight. I've gotten good sleep. I've gotten good rest. I've had my decaf coffee. It's a new day. I thought it'd be a good time to give it a try. So just wanted to put it out there. Like, comment, do whatever you want to do. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you too are doing okay with the time change. If you're not, please know that I am having a hard time too. I'm so frustrated with it, and I think it's going to be a while. I do think that a benefit this year is I have some things to look forward to. We are going to go shoot the eclipse, or at least attempt it, weather permitting. We're going to drive to Texas, and we're going to go see the eclipse and take the camera and get pictures in like 3 weeks. So that's coming. So I've got that on my, the horizon. I've got someplace to I'm moving towards something. I do think that helps. But the daylight savings time is just just can't even put it into words how much I hate it. But, by August, I'll be like, oh, I love this. It's so beautiful. My mind will change like that. But it's just the first adjustment for the first month or two. I'm just annoyed by the whole thing. Stupid daylight savings time trying to mess me up. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you if you watched it all the way to the end. I know it was kind of long. I tend to ramble. I know that as I do this, I'm going to get better, so just bear with me. This takes practice, just like mindfulness. Everything takes practice, and I want to get better at it, and I think I will, but it's always, you have to start somewhere, so here I am. But anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. If you need to have a snow day, even if you live where there's no snow, do it. Sit in your favorite chair, do a craft, watch your favorite movie, take your time, because if you don't, you're no good to anybody else, including yourself. All right. Self-care isn't selfish. Bye now.